And today's guest on the Financial Planner Live podcast is Charley Smith from Hoxton Capital Management here in Dubai. And this is a special episode. So we get to talk about what it's like living in Dubai from a female perspective. We talk about Charley's journey from working in accounts in the UK, being inspired by a female financial planner to start her career in financial planning. We discuss why move from the UK to Dubai to do that, and the opportunity in the international advice space. I've got to know Charley really well because I sit opposite her. She's a rising superstar, and I think you're going to enjoy this episode if you're interested in joining her in Dubai. Charley, thanks for joining me today on the Financial Planner Live podcast. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, bit tired. We spent the whole sort of morning, haven't we, doing some filming for the investment manager that Hoxton partner with. Tell us a little bit about what we did today then.
So we had Additum in today and they were just going through our relationship together. So how Hoxton and Additum work together and how that benefits our clients and sort of how that relationship works.
Lovely, yeah. It's all about keeping it simple, wasn't it? You know, at the end of the day, the end consumer doesn't want to be bamboozled by jargon. So it was a lovely soft landing, wasn't it? A way to kind of introduce the investment management team, what they do, how we partner with them, or why that's good for the client. So content like that, I think, is really, really important. Nice bite size, easily digestible, and we can send that to them, and it gives them an insight behind the scenes of what we're doing, right?
Yeah, definitely. Additum are professionals at what they do and we're professionals at what we do. So I think it's sort of highlighting the strength of that relationship and how that ultimately benefits the clients going forward.
Fantastic. Great stuff. So how long have you been in Dubai for?
I have been in Dubai almost 1 year now. It's gone so quick, honestly. Like I literally feel like I got here yesterday. So.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, I've got a feeling it's going to fly by for me. I can't believe it's been nearly 2 months since I've been working here at Hoxton as well. Obviously back and forth from the UK, but as of next month, the 20th, we should be here fully as a family in Dubai. It's been a bit of a baptism of fire. This is your first summer as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so hot. It's literally unbearable.
It's
so hot.
Ridiculous. I think yesterday when I looked at the, I guess classic English now, talking about the weather, but it was felt like 60, apparently. Felt like 60 degrees. I mean, that was just mental.
Yeah, I think you literally feel like you're just like hot all of the time and like you're in full workwear and you have to step out and you're like, I need a shower now because it's so humid.
Yeah.
But I feel like you do sort of get used to it. But ultimately it's a big change from being in the UK and being rained on and feeling cold all the time.
Well, this is the thing. When you wake up in the morning and you look out the window and it's another sunny day, I find that quite nice. You know, I'd rather be waking up to a sunny day, even if I was running from air conditioning to air conditioning in the summer, but very much looking forward to the winter. I hear such positive things. Dubai comes to life. Everyone comes here. There's loads of events going on. So I'm, really, really looking forward to 6 months of really cool weather and the daughter over and my wife and going to the beach and really enjoying Dubai for what it is. Now, you're not from Dubai. Obviously, you've only been here for a year. So just talk to us a little bit about what you were doing in the UK.
Yeah, so I originally started off my career in accounts. So I've worked in a few different industries, but mainly I'd say wealth management, financial services, just doing a management accounts mainly. So I'd done my AAT back in the UK and I worked for some really great companies and got some really great experiences. And I also built up a sort of skill set of being analytical, being highly organized, and being able to sort of look at financial data. So it was very interesting, and I feel like that skill set has now strengthened my ability to be a great financial advisor, and it definitely applies to this industry.
Fantastic. So you're on the journey, aren't you, to becoming a financial advisor? Now, I always ask people this. How did you hear about, you were working in wealth management, but how did you sort of gain the confidence or the belief that you wanted to go down the pathway of becoming a financial planner?
So I worked in financial services, but there was a lady there that was one of the big top performing sort of financial advisors. And it was amazing to see because I think at this time I was quite young, like 19, 20. And I remember looking up to her and thinking she was such a role model. Because I think sometimes financial services comes across as like very ballsy, quite aggressive. You know, some of the ways that you see financial services and wealth management maybe historically has been a bit like that. But it was nice to see like this very feminine, very graceful approach to financial planning. And I think I saw her as a role model, and then going forward, I guess I had her in my mind of like, this is ultimately what I would love to do. And I think it's difficult. You have to sort of build your confidence and belief in yourself that you can also do that. But I do think it's more challenging for women because I think there's less women in the industry.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. I think when we look up to somebody, or if you look up to the leaders in financial planning, for instance, right, there's definitely more men than there are women. I mean, it is important that we have more women in leadership roles. And I think it's really important as well that those women in leadership roles do step up and talk about the career within financial planning, why it's a suitable for career for women. Because young women like you will look at them and go, I can do that. And also women have a completely different perspective. I was recently at the PFS, Personal Finance Society, and they have created a new podcast, and the Financial Planner Life has been producing that podcast. And that's 5 women, top of their game within financial planning, all sat around a table talking about their perspective on a career within financial planning. So I was a fly on the wall, right? I'm sat there listening to their podcast because we're recording it. But I've never heard a conversation about financial planning and the career of those that work in it from a female's perspective. It was so interesting. Everybody has a different dynamic. Everybody has a different approach to what they do. But to hear women talking about their approach, and I don't know, it was an eye-opener. So definitely listen to that podcast, because I think that's coming out around about August time. So that's via the PFS. Women and Wealth is called. Fantastic episode. So that should hopefully inspire lots of women who are in the profession to step on up. It's very, very interesting, right? Because you've got circa, I think, 9,000 power planners in the UK, and around 80% of those are women.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those women in those roles would actually want to step into a financial planning position if there was a clear-cut career framework, somebody within the business that they could look up to that's a female that would inspire them to step forward into that role because they're doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And I think if there's 80% of women doing power planner roles, that means they already understand the industry. They have all of the knowledge. They understand how it works. They understand the requirements. So I think it's a great stepping stone. And I think any women that have been in, you know, accounts, finance, power planning, you know, anything like that skill set is so transferable. You don't always have to start off, you know, as a salesperson. You don't always have to start off like cold calling or being in a sales position, being a recruiter, you know, things like that. There are so many different pathways. And I do think that maybe the reason why women don't step up more is because, like you said, it's not very clear what that pathway is for them. And that could be because there is a lack of women role models.
Yeah. I've seen way more women in coaching roles though. So I've seen a lot of, there's a lady called Catherine Morgan who does like coaching training for financial planners. In Her Financial Shoes is a podcast as well, worth you probably listening to it. But when you look on Instagram, TikTok, or anywhere where there's like a social media presence, there are a lot of women talking about money, but they're kind of aligning themselves more to the coaching type role. But it suits them because of the empathic nature of women and the highly organized side of it, and a bit more an emotional connection. I always think the coaches that are women come across well, and I listen to them and follow them more than I would the male coaches. So that transferring then into actually the advice side of things is amazing, because if you can coach your clients and then give advice, then absolute win-win, right?
100%. And I think people forget that the client base isn't always like men. Like there are a lot of women clients, and there are a lot of husbands and wives, you know, so there could be women that prefer to have a female advisor because they prefer a more soft, compassionate, empathetic approach. So I feel like sometimes people forget that. And I think that that's what we're sort of missing in the industry.
Yeah, okay. So brave move coming to Dubai because it is predominantly male.
Yeah.
Have you found that?
Yeah, I think financial services, you know, generally is more male dominated. But yeah, definitely. I think Dubai, there are definitely a lot of men out here, wanting to, you know, make it big and be successful. But I do see quite a lot of women coming over here predominantly as like teachers and things like that, actually. There seems to be quite a lot of teachers and those sorts of roles. But I think it would be great if more women would come over here and try, you know, an industry like wealth management.
why did you decide to come to Dubai then? Because you could have started your career within financial planning in the UK. Why did you think, well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to turn this on its head. I'm going to go international instead.
I think, especially after COVID, so I worked in London for 7 years, and I think what I noticed was that London sort of lost its edge, and it went from like a really upcoming, buzzing environment, and it was exciting. You know, even doing the commute every day, everybody was bustling and excited to go to work. And I don't know what it was, but I think after COVID, it completely lost its soul. Like, it became quite a soulless place, and all of their energy and excitement went. And so logically, I was thinking, where can I go that's going to replace that buzz, like that buzz feel, that excitement, that hunger, the drive? Because I needed that and I wanted that. I was looking for that. And I just felt like London just did not have that anymore. And, you know, from researching and even from looking at TikTok and Instagram and things like that, I think it's fairly obvious that Dubai is that upcoming buzzing place. It is full of energy, and, you know, people wanting to be successful and people wanting to work hard. So I thought it was a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, fantastic. So you came over. How did you hear about Hoxton? What was your journey from the UK to actually ending up in a seat next to me?
So I was just sort of researching, I guess, wealth managers in Dubai, and sort of looking at companies that would sort of match what I was hoping for. I wanted to go for like a forward-thinking, modern approach industry. You know, I think I had worked in some wealth managers in the UK, and I would say they were dinosaurs in terms of it's always been done this way, so that's how we're going to continue to do it. And so I wanted to go for a younger company, you know, people that actually have new ideas and have different ways of doing things. And Hoxton just seemed to tick those boxes for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a very entrepreneurial environment, and I've looked at the whole market and have done for 16 years. And having a podcast, I get to look under the bonnet and ask the questions. I've known Chris now for quite some time. I was always in the background talking to him over email or sharing ideas, pitching ideas at him. He knew I was quite an entrepreneurial individual. And we really wanted to work together in some form of capacity, but we couldn't quite work out how to do it. But it's weird because my perception of the offshore market, I don't want to say offshore anymore, the international market, right? My perception of it was very different to the realities of it. So when I actually ended up coming over to Dubai and I went and met a couple of different wealth managers, financial planning firms, I was pleasantly surprised as to what it was like over here and just how high the standard actually was. I just felt the international market wasn't selling themselves to the UK market very well. And it was left in the hands of horror stories about things that have gone wrong or people that have come over here historically when it was a bit like, you know, stack it high, sell it cheap, commission-based sales. Coming over and sort of looking under the bonnet, especially with Hoxton being a fee-based financial planning company, $2 billion under management, been going for 6 years, sitting down with every single facet of the business, all the different leaders within it, the tech team, looking at what they're doing around technology, the app, the in-house matrix system, how that links together 6 different jurisdictions worldwide. And the very fact they had a UK presence for me was like, right, there's something here. We've got all these millionaires leaving the UK. You've got all these millionaires internationally leaving different countries. People moving around. The world's becoming a much smaller place. So for me, it was like, there's something in this. You know, this is too exciting. The ability for a financial planner in the UK, right? This is what blew me away. And you look at Michael Yule or something like that. He's sitting over in France, right? He's got clients over in South Africa, and he also services clients in the UK. That's amazing, right? Yeah. You couldn't do that if you were just a UK advisor being authorised by the FCA. One of the other things I kind of blew my mind a little bit was that if I was a UK-based advisor, I had clients, right? I could come and join Hoxton, continue to service those clients from Dubai, right? That's okay. So I've got that level of recurring income still coming in. But from Dubai, it doesn't mean I have to just advise clients that are in Dubai. So a benefit of being I'm tax-free in Dubai.
Yeah.
I could be advising clients in the USA, which we do, on things like 401ks and IRA rollovers, right?
Yeah.
I could be advising clients that are in Australia.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place to base yourself, tax-free. There's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
But then I'm not actually just limited to the UAE. And I think the perception is when the people in the UK think about going to work in Dubai, that they have to build this client database, client base in Dubai. It's incredibly competitive in Dubai, right? It's not easy. So I just want people to understand that. Like, you might base yourself in Dubai. It doesn't mean all you're dealing with is locals, or it doesn't mean that all you're dealing with is expats in Dubai. They're there and they come through. But the interesting thing is they might then go off to the States. They might go back to South Africa. They might go to Europe. They might go to the UK. And you can continue looking after your UK clients. So I think people need to understand that. Like, that's the opportunity in my eyes. And when it dropped, the penny, I was like, whoa, man, like no one's talking about that properly. So no one's educating the financial advisors in the UK. This is what you can actually do. I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I think like if you're just doing UK clients in the UK, then, as great as that might be for a short time or for a long period of time, if that's what you're happy with, you are limited, because you're limited on a set of circumstances that most of those people are going to be experiencing. You're limited the regulations in that area of the country and the tax and everything. It's very specific and it's very set. Rules might change, governments might change, but overall circumstances for majority of people are very similar. And I think that advising globally is amazing because you get all of these different circumstances and all of these different opportunities come up, and it's actually exciting because you get to build a financial plan that is like exciting and different, and you have all of these different options that you can look into. So, being able to advise globally to all of these different people in all of these different areas of the world, it just opens up so many opportunities for you, like not just to learn, but also to earn. So instead of having a limited client book that's just UK and that's all you're ever going to do, you can have like so many different client books all around the world, and there's no stopping you because there's always going to be an inflow of clients that need your help.
Yeah, fantastic. When we think about your future, okay, let's just let everyone know what it is you're currently doing at the moment, and we'll talk about your kind of ambitions and your goals. Because you're a young person now within financial planning. You're certainly younger than me, right? Now considered middle-aged, sadly, believe it or not. But let's look at what you're doing now. Give people an insight into what you're doing at Hoxton.
Yeah, so I've been at Hoxton almost a year now, and I've come on as a client services manager. So my role predominantly is to ensure that clients are looked after and serviced correctly across the business. And also to deal with any orphan clients. Sometimes advisors may leave, they may go on to different opportunities. So it's my job to ensure that they're passed over to the correct advisors and they're serviced properly. But I would say that, I don't know if it is mainly a Dubai thing, and maybe it is because there are so many opportunities, but I would say that your job role doesn't really explain what you do. And I think people might agree with me there. Because I do so many different things. There's so many areas of the business that I can get involved in. And I think that's the thing with an up and coming young company. There's so many areas that you can get stuck in and you can really show your diverse skill set. So since I've worked at Hoxton, I've done marketing seminars. I've worked on videos like I did this morning with you guys. I've also done a lot of project work. So me, Chris and Charley have been working on the funds that Additum have set up. So we've been working on how they're set up and how that works, the logistics of those for the clients. I've also done model rebalances and portfolios for clients to ensure that they're where they need to be. So I've got involved in the investment side of things, as well as the client side. I've had client meetings, I've done fact finds, I've done risk profile questionnaires with some clients just to ensure that everything's up to date and that they're happy. So overall, I've done so many different things that really can't even be summed up from my job title.
No, I love it. I think what's really interesting as well is you're quite lucky in the sense that you've got access to some of the leaders within that business, right? And when you have access to some of the leaders within the business, it's like having a management toolkit in your pocket, coaches, people to inspire you, people that can push you that little bit further. And I think that's just hugely important. And me coming into that business, running my own business on my own, I often felt like I was lonely, even though you're the business owner. It's often one of those things that people don't really see the business owner as feeling lonely because you think, well, you got a whole business, but you do because you don't really have anybody to kind of bounce ideas off of and all of that kind of thing. So when I came into this business, it was like this rainbow of different talents that I could tap into, and it lends itself to that. There's an energy here whether that's the Dubai energy, I don't know. But there's definitely an energy at Hoxton where everybody's trying to help each other and trying to give everybody else a leg up. And for me, that's so important because I'm high energy. I like to do things quickly. I like to fail fast. I like to learn. I want instant feedback. And I get that in that environment. And one thing I've learned from Chris, Charley, Jacob, nobody's afraid to fail. And for me, that's empowering. There's nobody saying no. It's just like, right, let's have a go. And I'm like, and instantly within a couple of months, I've had a go at loads of things. And for me, that's exciting. And to be part of that energy, I think is transferable. And I think if you're the right type of person that sees that, you'll grab it with both hands.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like Dubai as a whole, you need to ensure that you're a proactive person. So, you can't sit around and just hope that opportunities fall into your lap. You just sit here for hours and think, oh, I wish I could have done that, or I wish I could do this. You actively need to go and ask people. You need to be like, oh, I've seen so-and-so do this. Can I get stuck in? Or not even ask, just go and do it and see, and then ask for feedback. And I think that's really important. Like, this is not the sort of place where you can sit back and just expect things to be given to you. You need to have a certain work ethic and grit to be able to just really get stuck in. And like you said, it's really exciting and beneficial because you get to try all of these different things. And even if you fail at majority of them and then you find one or two areas that you love, that's still like a really amazing journey.
I do think you're spot on there. And I want people to understand, because everyone thinks, oh, I wonder what it's like working internationally. Is it any different to it is in the UK? I think it's massively different.
Yeah.
And I think that's across the board.
Yeah.
I don't think that's just an isolated Hoxton thing. I think if you want to be a success in somewhere like Dubai, I think you have to have a certain type of work ethic. And it is go for it. It's be an activist. It's work hard. It's look after yourself so you can perform better. It is a growth mindset environment. If you want to coast, I don't think it's the right environment for you. I've noticed that culturally the difference between the UK and here, it suits me more because I often felt sometimes in the UK that I was almost kind of looked at as being a bit mad if I asked for people to do more, or I wanted to do more, I wanted to grow faster. Yeah, it was kind of like, well, why? Let's do 4-day work weeks. And I'm like, I'm not really into that. I am into, right, let's crack on, let's get going. There's a lot of work to be done. I enjoy that energy, but I feel like that's the energy, which is why I feel quite comfortable here. Yeah, it's nice.
And I think, if you're the sort of person that just wants to do your job and go home and that's it, and you're not interested in, reaching these big goals and you have no interest in building like a really exciting big career, that's absolutely fine. There's no issue with that. We do need people like that otherwise we'd have people constantly wanting to, have promotions every couple of months and be the best of the best all the time. So that's absolutely fine. But I feel like for Dubai, if you're coming here, you need to have that attitude where you do want to be the best and you are willing to put in the work and you are hungry for it, because I feel like coming out of here and starting a new career, it's extremely uncomfortable. There are going to be struggles. You are going to have days where you're like, I don't know if I made the right choice, because I feel like in the UK, maybe it is a little bit more comfortable, it is easier. There are there's certain things that are set up there in a way to make you comfortable. And I feel like Dubai strips that. Like, it takes it all away and you're almost starting from nothing, like from the bottom, and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? But that's what you have to do, and you have to be prepared to be uncomfortable. If you want to get to where you want to get to, you have to be uncomfortable and you just have to keep trying.
Yeah, good advice. I think definitely no point in sugarcoating it. It's tough, and Dubai is expensive.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, and the economy is moving quickly. House prices going up, rent going up, cost of living going up. It may be tax free, but that's not to say it doesn't cost £5 for a coffee sometimes.
100%. Yeah, I think because it's tax free, a lot of people think, I could be earning so much more because it's tax free, but you do need to remember that there are things that cost more here. An example, because I never knew this before I came here, and I think it's important that people know this. If you want an apartment in Dubai, and I don't mean sharing with others, I mean, if you're like, well, I've always lived on my own, I've always had an apartment in London, I really want an apartment, it's very unlikely that you will ever be able to pay monthly for that apartment. So most landlords here are going to be asking you for one check, maybe two, maybe three or four if you're lucky. So that means you need to have enough money behind you to pay basically a year's rent up front. If you don't have that, good luck. Like, it's never going to happen. You're never going to be able to pay monthly. So in the UK, like I said about being comfortable, we're very lucky. We only have to we pay monthly, we pay our bills monthly, and we pay 1 month upfront deposit. Yeah, that doesn't exist here.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes it very difficult if you're a younger person, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, same as the UK, you can share accommodation with other people. And that's kind of what most people do. So there is affordable ways to do it. But, you know, gone are the days. I remember Chris told me about a horror story when he first came to Dubai. As an accountant, you know, well, I'll go over to Dubai and become a financial planner. I know some people that are making some good money. Anyway, spent quite a great deal of his time on a blow-up mattress on the floor with, I think, 6 other gentlemen.
Yeah.
So, you know, you hear these horror stories. Jacob's told me a few, and I think I'm going to try and get a few out of him on the podcast next week. Because it's been tough in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, time now is different. Yes, financially it can be quite tough, but it's not as bad as it used to be in the past. It's a different place and time now. But one thing I would 100% say, don't underestimate the cost.
Agreed.
It is expensive. If you want to live the Dubai lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
You got to earn some serious money. Don't think this is paradise in the sense that you can come over and all your problems are going to disappear just because it's a new country and Instagram tells you that everyone's having a great time, right? 100%. There's a cost associated to everything. Just bear that in mind. And I think the advice about the renting was a massive one because it took me by surprise.
Yeah, I had no idea. Literally no idea. It was like one check for a whole year. Like,
try it when you got a family, right? So when you got a family and you want to live in a certain area, I reckon it's going to cost me 50k a year to rent.
Yeah,
minimum,
crazy.
right? And then you chuck on top of that my cost for sending Isabella to school. Lucky I've only got one kid, right? That's another 15,000 a year.
Yeah, it is expensive, and even cars out here are more expensive. Like, to buy a car is more expensive. To finance a car is more expensive. So there's all of these costs that I don't think people think about. And you know, it's great because the metro is actually amazing. Like, compared to the UK, it's great. It comes every 2 minutes and it's clean and it's safe and it's great. They even have a women's section on there. But it's not accessible for everyone because it depends which area you live in. So if you want cheaper rent, you may choose to live further out, but then that means you need a car because you can't get to work without that. So you have to balance, like, you have to think about these things before you just get a flight and come over here and think that you're just going to, like, land into the ideal situation, I think.
No, I get it. Fully understand that. But, you know, good times as well. When the sun's shining and the weather's good, you got the beaches, you got the city. I mean, it's a city that never sleeps. It's good. It's good fun. It's good energy. I was down on West Beach.
West Palm.
West Palm, yeah. I was on there sweating in my jeans and T-shirt, like ridiculous tourist. But I could see how that in the wintertime here, which is like the summertime in the UK, would be absolutely pumping and fun. I was at the hotel I'm at the moment. They got a rooftop bar.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I love the way that, like, at the weekend, I'm going to be able to go to one of, I don't know, 60 different hotels that all have different pools and beaches attached to them. That Privily card, like, you spend, I think it's about £100 a month.
Yeah.
But you get access to loads of gyms and you get access to loads of beaches and clubs and the kids clubs. And I was like, hang on, that's really cool. So when you think about it and you've got 52 weekends a year, right? And then you've got your holiday you take from work. That's a lot of time in the sunshine in another country with beaches and pools and accessibility. I mean, my daughter's only got one pool in our little local village and it's a shithole. So it's kind of like, hang on, my daughter's just going mental for it. And she's like, there's like the world's biggest water park there for me on the Palm. And there's loads of restaurants and me and my wife can go out and explore the city. So I think for families, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is pretty cool. Like, there's a lot more to do here than there is in the UK as a family. And I suppose the guarantee is the weather as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I think in the winter especially is great because I used to remember in London, you would get home and it'd be dark outside and you'd be knackered and you would just go home, watch telly, maybe head to the gym, and that's it. That's like your week is done. But I think the great thing about Dubai is even when work is finished in the winter time, everybody does stuff. Like me and Amelia, like we literally used to go for walks on the beach after work, and we used to go get like an acai bowl and like just sit and watch the sunset. And I was just thinking, like, I feel so blessed to have that because it does make a really big difference to your happiness. And I do think as well, there is another side to Dubai that's not always this partying, going out boozing and stuff like that. There are like some really good like health and fitness and wellness like spaces. So there's so many opportunities to like go to yoga, do Pilates, and things like that. So it doesn't always have to be like you have to go to the most nicest restaurants and drink loads and party loads. Like there is this whole wellness side, and I think it's really important to highlight that because I don't think that side is as obvious as the glitz and the glam and the drinking and the partying and the restaurants.
I've been leaning into that.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at that on Instagram, and because my wife and me try to maintain a healthy life, she's got this brand called Wild Moon, which used to make jewelry. But we're aiming to take that Wild Moon brand into like Wild Moon Boutique and also sell matcha. So the idea is to try and create like almost a matcha coffee house, like start with, what was it, we'd call that a matcha house, right? Yeah. Sell like iced matchas, different flavored matchas and things, but also then sell quite cool boho type clothing. So, you know, that kind of like Sydney look, the Australia boho look. I think that would fit in really well out here. So like a kind of city stroke surf look.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, is Dubai got that kind of vibe or that look? I don't know. I think doing something like that, you know, and another thing that does to me, like when I'm here, it makes me feel entrepreneurial because it does have that energy. Like you could come out, you could set up a business, you could get cracking on it. It's tax free. You know, you could put your energy into something, and it's an environment where people are spending money.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like if you've got an idea and no one's doing it, crack on with it because you probably make a few quid.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's great for people that, you know, want to start a business or even people that want to work here and save up. Like, you know, they just save up loads of cash, you know, it's tax free. And then eventually if they do decide, oh, actually, I'm going to use all of this tax free cash now to, you know, invest it in a business or to go and buy a house somewhere. You know, there's so many people I know that have moved here and been here quite a few years now. And they have multiple properties now back in the UK because they've been able to save up all this tax free cash. So I think it's okay if Dubai isn't your forever. And I don't think it's a forever for everyone. Even if it's just a short to long term place for you to build a career, to build wealth, to invest, that's fine. You know, if you decide that after you've had that experience and you've built all of that, if you then decide you want to return home or go elsewhere because you prefer the lifestyle, to have a family, etc., then that's absolutely fine. And I think that people need to just be aware that there is flexibility. It doesn't have to be permanent.
And that's what I love about Hoxton with their multi-jurisdiction approach, the ability to service clients from anywhere in the world, not lose clients when you leave, because historically people would come out to buy and then go back to the UK and everything they built up had gone.
Yeah.
In fact, most of them weren't even fee-based. You know, there was no recurring income. They were just fat-end commissions, you know.
Yeah.
So the ability to come out, do some work here and then maybe want to go back to the UK if you wanted to, that's cool, you can do it. But we're growing in the US, we're growing in Australia, we're growing in South Africa, we've got a Cyprus license so you can passport it anywhere in Europe. So that's a huge opportunity as well. So it's not all in. You can be transient with your job. You can move country to country. And as a business that wants to grow and get more and more offices internationally, you grow with the company at the same time. So it really does suit that globe-trotting type individual that doesn't want to be stuck in one place.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. As my wife would say, she's looking forward to the adventure. Let's have an adventure, Sam. You know, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's have an adventure. And that's how I'm looking at my career now. It's an adventure. I'm off to America next month. I'm going to go fly over to France as well, see Michael. So it's kind of like, ooh, like it's exciting, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's great because Hoxton gives you the opportunity to study, right? So I'm doing my CISI level 4. I have one exam left and then I will be level 4 qualified. So I'll be qualified to give UK advice. And then also the fact that there's the ability to study the US exams. So I'll be able to do Series 65. And then if I wanted to study Cyprus, I could do that as well. And then even Australia, if I decided I eventually wanted to go into that market, then Hoxton would provide the support for me to be able to do that. And then, like you were saying, if you did decide you wanted to move there, it's great because you already have all of those exams. You're qualified in all of those regions now. So if in 5-10 years I turn around and said, well, I've been in Dubai 10 years, I'm Series 65 qualified. That means I can advise US persons. Actually, I've decided that I'm going to go move to LA now, and that's going to be my next step. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, I love that. Brilliant. I love that gives you that vision, doesn't it? It gives you that kind of something to look forward to. You can think about you can think about your career differently. It opens the world up to you at the end of the day. And again, it kind of important to me is that if you ever want to go back to the UK, it's there, right? It's a place you can go back to if you wanted to, right? You mentioned doing the CISI here. How are you getting on with that?
Yeah, no, good. I've done two. So I started off with UK regulations, and then I did financial planning, and I'm now doing investment risk and tax. And I will be honest, it's the trickiest one of the three, but I saved it till last because I knew it would be the one I have to put the most effort into. But it's great as well because Hoxton not only pay for your exams and have that support, but they also have like a study, I don't know, it's like a study coach that comes in. Her name's Rebecca. She's absolutely lovely. And she comes in once a week and she can go through question papers with you. She can go through content material with you. She does practice tests with you. And that's great because it holds you accountable. And it also, you have somebody there 24/7 almost. So if you're really stuck with something, she'll have the time to sit down and go through everything with you. I think that's great because I don't think there's any company that I've worked for so far that have offered that sort of support.
No, I love it. Great stuff. So what's the future hold for you then? What are you thinking about from the future, sort of medium, short, long term? What are you hoping to achieve in the next, say, 6, 12, 24 months?
Yeah, so I think definitely, obviously, passing this exam would be great. So I could be level 4 qualified. And then having my own clients would be great with the support of Chris. And then I would also like to study the Series 65. There's so much opportunity in the US market. And I've seen that since working here. US persons with 401ks, IRAs, there's just so much opportunity there to help them. So I'm definitely going to be studying that next. And then, advising US people, advising UK people. And then maybe eventually, once I've built up my own client book, like I said, maybe eventually I'll move to LA and live there for a bit, and we'll see.
Well, I love it. Charley, listen, thanks for sharing today your journey at Hoxton, your journey from the UK to Dubai, the ups, the downs, the realities of deciding to become an international financial planner. And we wish you all the best. And obviously, we'll continue getting to know each other, and I'll be supporting you every step of the way in areas that I can as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. It's been great. Thank you for having me.